To all of you, my condolences. Ms. Perna, I just empathize with you. And I got to tell you, Mickey, you know how I feel about Ashley. I'm going to come to you, Mr. Clark. Who's in charge of Washington, D.C.?
Well, Muriel Bowser is the mayor, and there's a city council, and there's a home rule statute that Congress passed.
So it would be Congress, right?
It's Congress is the ultimate backstop and control
who
over
at the time was
that.
Speaker?
I'm sorry?
Who at the time was Speaker?
Nancy Pelosi.
And does that Speaker have jurisdiction over the safety and welfare of anything in the Capitol?
Yes, the relevant committee, as I've researched it in the past, functionally reports to her.
How does a small little paragraph that was put in the NDA years ago that allows the federal government to incarcerate an American citizen without cause for any due reason, how does that affect this case?
I'm not sure I know the answer to that, Congressman, to be honest.
Well, I think it played a big part because it allows the government to detain somebody without real merit. And that was placed into an NDA bill and is still part of the process. Did Nancy Pelosi have advance warning in regards to intelligence that there was probably things happening?
My understanding is yes, Congressman. There were reports from Secret Service agents. There were DHS reports that have gotten a lot of coverage. There's a lot of advance intelligence. And indeed, there's a remarkable story that I don't think has gotten enough press in Newsweek, published on about the one-year anniversary of January 6th, which indicated that there were tactical teams, sort of the most highly trained and elite units like the hostage rescue team. They were sent to the Capitol in advance because of all of these reports by the Justice Department, by the Attorney General, the acting Attorney General, Jeff Rosen, acting individually without apparently really in a lot of coordination. It's puzzling actually why you would do that and you wouldn't have a harder security perimeter if you had those teams there on the outside to stop people from coming in the first place.
So when you look at 16 versus 20, was there a bigger presence on 16 versus 20?
I mean, it looks to me like things were locked down in 20 around the Capitol. I mean, there were those famous fences. I've seen the pictures. It looks like a military zone. It's not the kind of thing I expect in America. It reminded me actually of the time when I was in law school, you could drive past the White House. And now, that's been locked down apparently due to terrorist threats. But I thought what happened with the Capitol after, the last, in connection with the last presidential election for the inauguration was true overreach and overreaction.
So Ms. Pelosi had the ability to take that information and put it to good work, but she turned down National Guard and additional Capitol Police, did she not?
Yes, she turned it down, and Muriel Bowser, the mayor, turned it down as well.
And who did she have a meeting with in regards to the military?
I'm not recalling precisely who she met.
Milley.
General Milley?
General Milley made some incriminating comments.
You've reminded me of that. Yes, I remember.
Can you expound on that?
Well, I mean, it seemed to me that General Milley was engaged in conduct that is shocking. I mean, him coming, his commander-in-chief was Donald Trump at the time. He is coming and basically indicating that, he's willing to work with Pelosi to engage as a safeguard against Donald Trump. And we know, even though the second impeachment against Donald Trump tried to cut short what his speech was and present it as if he was urging people to violently attack the Capitol, that he actually told people to march peacefully and patriotically. So General Milley had to have been aware of all of that and been aware of what was being said in internal meetings, and yet he pretended as if Donald Trump was some kind of threat, Congressman.
So let me ask you this. Ms. Pelosi made this comment that President Trump has a right to a trial to prove his innocence. This is exactly what's transpired with anybody that was arrested on January 6th.
This is an inversion of our system, right? We have a presumption of innocence. And indeed, I heard this from Benny Thompson, who we've talked about as the chair of this wayward and lawless January 6th Select Committee. After because I realized that they were, lining me up as one target, in their hearings, I refused. I had initially refused based on executive privilege, which I was instructed to take and invoke, on law enforcement privilege, which the Justice Department instructed me to invoke, on lawyer-client privilege. You name it. The January 6th committee rejected it. I could see where they were headed, so I took the Fifth Amendment privilege, which the innocent under Supreme Court case law are entitled to take as well. Benny didn't stop Benny Thompson, the chairman. He went on MSNBC with Rachel Maddow, and he said that if you take the Fifth Amendment, that's part and parcel of being guilty. So this is the mindset of these folks that we face. I think that Benny Thompson and Nancy Pelosi are of a piece.
So I'm going to leave with one last comment. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. Somebody made the comment that this was acts against democracy, and that would be against the people. So to me, it seems like we ought to turn the people loose in regards to all videos being accessible to all members of the United States, and to help us find those people undercover, whether it be Antifa, FBI, whatever. That's the only way we're going to get to the bottom of this. Thank you.
Mr. Norman.
First of all, I just want to thank you for y'all for testifying. You know, I know Sarah came to the office, Ashley's mom, and others. This is heartbreaking, particularly Jerry with your nephew and the way y'all have been treated. You know, it's interesting that there was a police officer, and I'm from South Carolina, who came to the Capitol, and he's a 25-year Marine, been around a long time. He sensed something was wrong, and he left. Because he said something's just not right. The gathering that took place where it was people that turned their hat around, they were 50 to 100 of them. The picture of Ray Epps letting people in, where's the arrest for him? The lady I met at a conference who I just was sitting beside her from South Georgia who had 10 FBI agents show up. And said they were going to arrest her. She said, for what? They said, you were in the Capitol. Show me evidence. They had taken when they showed the picture, it was the hotel she stayed in. It was not the Capitol. It had a rendering like it. This was in South Georgia. All that is just, this is what happens in third world countries. This is not supposed to happen in America. I want to thank you for having a voice and not being quiet. And for coming here. It's not easy, I know, for those who, it's just unjust. It's not right. And Matt, I want to thank you for putting this on. Congressman Gates has been on this from the day that it happened. Going forward, the tapes have not been released. We've heard a lot of different ideas as to why, or excuses. The people are being arrested as we speak. What is from a legal standpoint, what is your opinion? What should we do as congressmen? And how would what's your take? But really, either one of you.
So, Congressman, I think that what I would recommend is that you proceed stepwise. I think the most urgent need is that every single one of the defense counsel and every single one of the defendants, they need to be given access to the entirety of that video record, because they need to try to find any Brady material in there. I think that the system in which, overzealous prosecutors, they will screen it for you and they'll tell you what they think is exculpatory. With all due respect, I think it's defense lawyers who need to be able to look at that kind of material and then decide what they think is exculpatory so that they can design appropriate defenses for their clients. As to public release, initially I had the view that all of it should be put out so that it could be crowdsourced, much like WikiLeaks revelations were. But I do recognize what I've seen Julie Kelly say to the media and in print, which is that there's these nefarious organizations like the ones that were threatening some of the witnesses here today with these Saul Alinsky-like tactics, the sedition hunters. So I recognize that there is a valid concern about not putting it out in that way. So that's why I would recommend the stepwise process. Make sure that all of the information gets to defense counsel. That's the most urgent thing.
Congressman Norman, I represent three of the guys, right? So it's for everybody that's, you may know it, but there is a system of looking at the video evidence that the DOJ has made available to defense lawyers and to the individuals. It's burdensome, it's unfair, it's terrible, it's nasty, it's terrible. It's hard work. And then Congressman Loudermilk and his team have made it available to people that asked. I've looked at it. I've gone in and looked at the video myself, Tucker Carlson, Julie Kelly, et cetera. It's very hard to do. I sat in there for hours. You can turn it up to times 40, and you're trying to watch this thing whip past you, right? And they've been great. I give their staff a lot of encouragement. But I differ with the general here. I think at a certain point, the sedition hunters are going to find us anyway. Pelosi already gave the tapes to everybody anyway, or the FBI will give it to them tomorrow. So at this point, we don't need 44,000, but there's 10,000 hours that would reveal what went on. I sat and watched the pipe bomber. We haven't even mentioned the pipe bomber. The two major political parties, we're told, faced hot bombs that didn't go off the hour after they were set, the night of January 5th, and somehow were discovered the next day. Hot bombs. They say they were real bombs. The ATF told us that. You go on there and you can watch the videos. You can see the pipe bomber. The FBI's lying. The pipe bomber didn't, I don't think they went to Virginia. There's a car behind another car on C Street next to the Capitol Hill Club. The bomber goes in and out of the car. No one's talked about it. You can go look at it yourselves. It's marked. We tagged it. My point is we need more eyes on this so that more people can find out who was there. Congressman Sessions has asked DOJ in his capacity on one of the committees to tell us who the undercover agents and agents are. They're refusing. You guys know that. So let's let it out there and let's let the public figure out who the people are, and we'll know every Ray Epps from here to Long Beach, California and back, and justice will be served because they won't stop if they can keep hiding. If they can keep hiding, we'll never know who did what.
I yield back.